Hey guys, it's Maymay and welcome to another scripture art journal journey. That's a lot to say in one mouthful. Notice I've got some stuff cut out over here. We're going to work with that in a few minutes. But first I want to talk to you about our scripture this week. It is Psalm 119, 103, and 104. And it says, "How sweet are your words to my taste, sweeter than honey to my mouth. Through your precepts I get understanding. Therefore I hate every false way." Now, I wrote my scripture at the top and then I wrote the experience that I'm having with that scripture here. I was inspired to do this week because I've been noticing that his scripture is just speaking to me in times of need. Even when I'm hearing things that aren't scripture, which is so funny. A lot of times we'll hear music like on the radio, or you might hear music in a restaurant when it's playing overhead, and it'll be like regular secular music and words will be said, and I'll be reminded that his scripture says that to me too. And it's really been interesting lately that I've needed to hear that. In everything I can hear his words, so that's why I'm leaning on that this week. And I thought it'd be fun to kind of do a honey or a bee themed journal page. So I want to show you a couple things I did to prep. The first prep I did was this little background page is yellow paper that I embossed with a honeycomb folder. So I'm going to use that as my background, but we're going to do a bunch of inking first. But I wanted to show you that. And then I went ahead to save a little time and I cut out 3 shapes from my die cut machine. So I'm going to have it just like this. And I'm not sure if this is going to go this way or this way, but that's that. And then I have this little piece that I think might go down here somewhere, but I just wanted to do a little bit of prep work. And before we do the inking, we need to do a little bit of coloring real quick. I'm really excited about today's page because it's not often that I get to use stamps from my own stamp line in my journaling. Sometimes I do if it's some of my scripture stamps, but today I'm going to use my stamp set called the Bee's Knees. I'm going to use this cute little bee, and I think I'm going to use the sentiment that says be beautiful. I think that'll be pretty over there because his words are beautiful. So let me get some paper to do some stamping. So I have some scraps from where I did some of my cutting earlier in prepping, and I'm using Memento ink, and the reason is I want to use my Spectrum Noir markers with this guy. I'm going to ink him up really well and just stamp him here in the corner. I'm going to let that ink soak just for a minute to get a nice crisp impression, and then while I've got this out, I'm going to go ahead and stamp the Be Beautiful on a piece of yellow scrap right over here. Now this is a yellow Spectrum Noir marker, and I'm just going to come in and color him. And he's not as bright of a yellow as my paper, but the reason for that is I'm going to be doing some inking on my paper because I kind of want to knock back the yellow on there as well and not be quite as bright. But I thought it'd be cute to give him some color. Look, my scissors match my project today. How cute. These are my fussy cutting scissors, so I'm just going to cut him away. Now the sentiment, I'm going to cut this into a little strip so we can use this on our project today. Now I have here a piece of printer paper, some Distress ink and vintage photo, and my ink blending tool, and I'm going to heavily ink these pieces. I'm going for more of a distressed honeycomb look, not crispy clean. I think that looks really good in journals, especially Bible journals. So I'm going real heavy around these edges, and I'm even going to get into the center a bit. I love how when you use embossed cardstock, your inks pick up those designs on the embossing, and it really makes them pop. Now that's the edges done, and I think I'm going to come in just a slight little bit and do some in the middle just to knock it back a tiny bit. But I like the lightness in the middle because I like the color. So that one is done. Now let's go ahead and do our sentiment. So even though I use this really bright paper, by the time they're done, it's not going to be super, super bright. I'm going to ink up this little piece. I'm trying to decide which. I think I want this side to be the top. May not need all of this, but I thought I'd go ahead and ink it while I was at it. Of these pieces, I'm going to ink them all and distress them all, but I'm going to write on this white one, so I'm going to leave it out for now and go ahead and distress these up while I'm here. On this little piece, I'm going to write sweeter than honey to my mouth. So I also wrote the scripture reference around the side, and now we can ink this piece. Now I'm going to do something kind of like I used to do. I'm going to assemble this outside of my journal and then put it in. This piece is going to run at the bottom, and then these guys are going to run at the top like this. So I'm going to go ahead and glue these together. And because this is in my journal, I'm not putting any foam tape on these, but if I were doing this on like a card layout or something, I would probably pop these up with some foam in between these layers. Then this guy's going to go right in this area, just like so. Then I'm going to glue this guy at the bottom here. Then lastly, I'm going to put my, or not lastly, but the last things I'm going to do is add my bee and put this little beautiful sentiment on. Just like this. And I think I'm going to put the bee, I like him in this area, so he's going to go right there. Now we can put this in our journal. Just like these. I love how this page turned out. I'm really excited to get to use my stamps like that. It's kind of a different way to do things, but I really, really like it. So that is today's page, guys. I really love how this one turned out. So this is our, I think our 8th week already. I hope I have that right. If not, I'll put it right in the title. But look at that. Psalm 119, 103, and 104, sweeter than honey to my mouth. I can't wait to see what you guys do to recreate this. And if you have never joined this journey with us, come over to my Facebook group, which is called Hide His Word in My Heart. There'll be links below in the description so you can go follow us and get started. We're only 8 weeks in, so it'll be easy to catch up for those weeks. We do this all year long, every week, once a week. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Till next week, talk to you soon. Bye-bye.